Good evening there, lovies. I'm Matt Boothman, and this is the first I Need a Miracle re-listen listening party live stream. Welcome, welcome. Nobody is actually here live, so this is all for posterity. This is all for the tape for the moment, but maybe we'll get some people joining at some point. This is the first of 12 of these listening parties, because there are 12 episodes of I Need a Miracle. What is that? Hopefully, if you're watching this, you've got some familiarity, or at least have found this through me and some curiosity about the show. I Need a Miracle is an audio drama microfiction podcast that I devised, that we created as a collaboration between Foggy Outline, our production company, and Wireless Theatre Company in 2024. The first episode came out in August 2024. It's a series where every episode is a prayer. Some prayers are answered, and a prayer granted or a miracle granted can upend the world. It asks the question, can any world survive a benevolent God? This is my first attempt at running my own stream, and I think I will be having issues. So let's just see if I can do anything about those briefly. See if I can go a little bit lower res, and that might help with the video streaming. YouTube's still enjoying it. We'll see what this ends up looking like on the playback. What I'm hoping is that even if the video of me doesn't end up being great, at least hopefully the audio of the episode is going to be all right, because that's what we're really here for. This is, like I say, the first of a set of weekly-ish, with one exception, live streams where we'll listen back to the episode from season 1 of I Need a Miracle, and I'll share a bit of processy stuff and some stories from recording day and some old drafts and that kind of thing. We can chat about the episode in chat if and when people arrive. And just generally, kind of, if you're somebody who didn't catch the series when it first came out, or have been meaning to get round to listening to it, or are completely new to it and haven't had a chance, don't know what this is and haven't had a chance to listen and just want to enjoy it in community with some other people, we'll listen to the episode together. Not something we do very often with podcasts, is it? Usually quite a solo experience on the headphones. So it's one of the things I enjoy about audio drama listening parties. We actually do take a few minutes and listen to an episode together and pop some reactions in chat, or just sit here quietly and enjoy it. However you want to engage is completely up to you. And then, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. If you listen live and have questions about anything that's going on in the episode, or about anything about the process of creating it, working with the actors, working with the crew, anything like that, ask away in chat, and I'll do my best to answer after the episode finishes. YouTube still says it's having trouble, but I'll plow on and we'll just see how this ends up going. This might end up being the last one of these if it turns out that my laptop is just not good enough to do this. It's managed to stream before, but not to run the stream. Somebody else was in charge of the mix the last time I did this. So we'll keep this first one fairly short. All of these are going to be fairly short and sweet. The episodes of I Need a Miracle are, I think the longest one is about 20 minutes. They're short episodes, short and sweet. And also, like I say, my laptop can't really cope, it seems. And it's warm here in London. So we're not going to hang around all night. to be a late one like a lot of people had last night. I've had a sluggish day, but it's not because I was up until 4 a.m. watching the football. It was because everybody else in the neighbourhood was up to 4 a.m. watching the football. I think that without further ado, we should get to our very first episode of I Need a Miracle. This aired in August 2024, or first went up on the feed in August 2024. All the credits are contained in the episode, but I should just call out that this one stars the fantastic David Holt as our main character. Every one of these episodes is a monologue, so it's all showcases for individual artists, individual voice actors to really have a play with a character and explore a world. I'll be hanging out in the corner of the screen so that you can tell that this is still live. Any questions or anything like that, any comments, whatever you want to say in the chat. If you just want to clap your hands for David Holt and throw him a bouquet of roses in emoji form, I'm sure he'd be very appreciative. Sit back, headphones on, relax, close your eyes, imagine, as I Need a Miracle invites you to, yourself as some omnipotent, omniscient being. Imagine that David's monologue is addressed directly to you. See how that makes you feel. I'll be back after the episode.
Foggy Outline presents I Need a Miracle, produced by Wireless Theatre. I plea and intervene. I can see it here, now. Just as clearly as when I'm dreaming. It always feels more real when I stand here, where it's supposed to be, the dreamlike tower. The ascent through the mist, the winding path to communion, my votive apex. I can so nearly see the curve of it flying out from the cliff face like a sail catching the wind, and the spire soaring up from where I'm standing, twirling up and through the cloud ceiling, the veins glittering in the sunshine, and the sea spray, the crystal core so pure it's almost invisible. Even when it's really standing here, it'll be like something you're only imagining. There'll be moments when the core catches the light in the corner of your eye and you can't move or think for the awe of it. Then it winks out of sight again, like ice underwater or something massive shifting in the dark. Sometimes I nearly fool myself that we built it already and we got that half-real quality so perfectly right. And I feel like I could step out right now onto the stairs and start to climb. But then I remember, after everything, I might never get to take that step. Maybe no one ever will. Can you grieve for something that hasn't had a chance to really exist yet? Maybe you can. Who knows what time and existence are to you? Maybe to you, The votive apex has already risen and fallen. To us, down here, it's like what I feel is only half real, like everything else about my life's work. So, please, I know you don't want me to suffer. Me or any of the others who put their heart... Some artists' work is inscrutable. People can spend forever debating what they meant by it. Not yours. Your intention sings out clear from every miracle you work. You want us all to live happy, live long, live free, live to create, free to decide what our lives are about and follow that path to the end. And you sent me a vision in my dreams of this structure that was also a challenge. A challenge that could also be an act of worship. You showed me beauty I could never have imagined, and I decided I'd make it real to thank you. No part of that sounds like a cruelty. It sounds like a commission, an artistic collaboration, an architectural communion. The first time I told another artist about the dream you sent me and my dream of making it real, they gave me such a sad, kind look. Like they could see I was determined to start down this path, and it was a path they'd walked down before, and all they'd found at the end was heartbreak. But they could tell there was no point trying to tell me that. They could tell I'd walk the path anyway, all the way to the end. And of course, it must have sounded impossible. Just some mirage I could chase forever and ever and never touch. Because back then, it was impossible. In so many ways. But I'd already made up my mind, and I've spent my life since then chiseling away at it, at the impossibility of the dream, of really building it, of making it real. When I found this place, that's when I really knew. That's when I knew it was really you sending the dreams, and that's when I knew you wanted me to take your vision and build it here. Because this is it. The cliff from the dream, the same in every single way. The way the headland sweeps up from the shore, the way the cliff drops straight down into the sea. And when I got over the shock and the joy and actually started surveying the site, I could see the spots where the spars were going to go to steady the structure against the cliff face. Like this was the base of a model kit, just waiting to be assembled. It wasn't so easy in practice, of course. Once I properly started work, drawing up plans, bringing in help, trying to source materials, well, most of the materials I needed just plain did not exist. But we reached into my vision and brought them here. We, my incredible crew. If I don't deserve a miracle, then they must, in your benevolence. I had your visions to drive me, but all they had was me. Was however much of it I've been able to put across to them. And they've still put their lives behind it. With their help, I've imported metamaterials from the future and from the realms of fate and from pure imagination. Together, we've originated processes of extraction and purification and synthesis that no one else has ever attempted. That would never have occurred to anyone else, because there's no call for them except this. Except to build the apex for you. The last breakthrough we needed was the crystal core. We've been battering our heads against that one for a decade now. We cracked it this parting's eve. The process is perfected, finally. The stuff comes out without a single impurity to catch the light. We can layer it 10 spans thick, and it's still so clear it's like it's bashful. It makes every glimpse feel like a privilege, and the raw materials and the power, the numbers all work out. We can synthesize it in the amounts we need. It'll be a life's work, but we all know that's what this is. It's what our lives are for. This dream of ours. It was impossible in so many ways, and we took all those impossibilities and made them possible, one by one, until there's just one left. The problem is, something that's impossible in 1,000 ways and something that's only impossible in one way, it's all the same in the end. Both impossible. There's still only heartbreak at the end of the path. The problem is the weight. All the calculations, all the simulations and projections, they all agree. Even the damned augurs say the same. It won't stand. We could build it, we could create all the pieces and assemble them here. The dream could come true, but only for a second. Once we take the construction supports away, it won't stand. It'll shatter under its own weight. I think the plan is to do it anyway. That's the way most of us are leaning right now. I decided I'd make this vision real, and I still want to do that. Maybe it'll be easier to grieve for something that really existed, even if just for a moment. But there will be grief. It'll be a moment's perfection before a tragic collapse. The stairs will tumble down before a single foot takes a step upon them. I'll spend whatever's left of my life mourning for everyone who never gets to see what you've shown me. Is that what you wanted to give me? When you sent this vision in my dreams every night? A life that ends in mourning after a single moment of glory? I hope it's not. But the only alternatives are compromise or a miracle. We could walk away now and never start construction. Say the metamaterials we've invented for the Apex are achievement enough for one lifetime. Or I know one person's already suggested we might be able to increase the density of the crystal at the base if we introduce this or that into the process. It could support itself that way, but it wouldn't be the structure you showed me anymore. The impurities. I don't think there's space for compromise when you're executing a divine plan, which leaves us at the mercy of forces we can't control. Gravity, mass, shearing. I don't see a way to extract or synthesize our way out of those. They're not in our gift to alter. That is the realm of miracles. Whatever happens, I'm thankful for the dreams, truly. The votive apex is supposed to be my thanks, but since I'm here addressing you in your benevolence, it would be rude not to say it out loud. You shared something beautiful with me, and the years I've spent working to make it real, I can't imagine being happier. Thank you. Now, please, let me repay you for that. I don't want to fail you now. You were the start of this act of creation, and I'm imploring you to tip the scale one more time at the end. A finishing touch to take away the only reason left that it's still impossible. Let me build it for you, and let it stand. That's my plea. In ignorance, I implore you again, having heard, to intervene. I need a miracle. Please, grant it to me.
I Need a Miracle is a Foggy Outline podcast produced by Wireless Theatre, directed by Robert Valentine, produced by Sarah Golding, casting by Fiona Thraille, broadcast assistance by Teresa Milewski, music by Catherine Seaton, sound design by Sarah Buchynski, recorded by Stephen H. at Jukebox Studios. Find more audio gold at wirelesstheatrecompany.co.uk and foggyoutline.com. Thank you for listening. I can see now that there are a couple of people at least trying to drop in on the stream. I apologise for any lag and picture issues. YouTube is giving me lots of dire warnings that it's not receiving enough video and that you're probably going to experience buffering. I'll do what I can to fix that in time for next Monday's stream. I'm not sure how, but I'll look at some FAQs and we'll see what they say. That's the very first episode that ever aired of I Need a Miracle. Not the first one I wrote. That will come quite a bit later in the series, actually. But I dug out some old notes or some old drafts. I draft longhand for stuff up on Scrivener, is my usual writing software. And it's funny to find that I dug out what I believe is the earliest draft of this one. And the note I have at the very top of this page is brackets like Arts Council application ? Just, I've said a few times that this series is a kind of exploration of the different ways to want things, different things you can want, and different ways that design manifests, the different ways that people choose art for the thing that they want and justify their desires. And so it's quite funny, I think, that to mash up the idea of a prayer to an omnipotent being and application of arts funding. Since I wrote this episode, I have now actually had the experience directly of trying to apply for Arts Council funding, and it is like petitioning not an unknowable being, but certainly one that has your whole fate in its hands, and that its decision making is not 100% transparent. There's some opacity there, or if not opacity, just some criteria in their decision making you wouldn't necessarily agree with, because it's beyond you. So clearly, even before I actually had the experience, something about the idea of writing essentially an application for some sort of artistic project in the form of a prayer to the god of this world would have tickled me somewhere. This character became a lot more full and perhaps a little pretentious, and definitely leaned to the respectfulness of the passion in later drafts. He is pretty informal, let's say, in this early draft. The very first line in the long draft here is, "Please, I need a miracle here. In your benevolence, come on, you got to do solid." Which, absolutely not the voice that David is using, not the voice that the final script was written in. I think it's funny to think about David delivering this character in that kind of style. Still, he's very evocative in his descriptions, as kind of befits an artist. So he says things like, "It twirls and twinkles as it spears from the cliffside up through the cloud layer. Every strive ever built pales in comparison. The delicate veins glitter in the sea spray sunshine. The crystal core is so pure it almost invisible." So that obviously being a much bigger part of the prayer here. As with a lot of these, the first draft is quite short, and it ended up being expanded as I thought of more questions to answer, sort of more flights and tangents that the speaker's mind would take them on. But lots of the bones of it were there right from the beginning. The idea that this person is trying to build something that they have seen in a dream that they attribute to God. Nobody else ever talks about having visions from this grant miracle near Reddit. The granting visions is not a thing that anybody else would talk about. So who knows if it really was a divine vision or not, the artist saw. But still, that's an element right from the start. And this idea of, if you see this, you must want me to build this. You can't be trying to torment me. And I think that's one of the reasons that's ended up becoming the first episode, partly because it has knock-on effects on future episodes, and that was important to be able to see from early on that miracles do get granted, and that it's not always 100% popular when they do. Also, where we're going with this. The idea of this god as benevolent, that's a really kind of foundational concept of theories that needed to be established really, really early on. Why this isn't a god that people think torments them. They sees it as something for a monkey paw situation, even if sometimes it ends up being a bit like that. And the assumption of the intentions of is kind of a key tension in the series that ends up getting explored right at the end. But we'll get there. Assume that OBS isn't used to behaving one day, or I figure out what's making everything laggy. This worked so well in my test streams. Maybe it's just because I'm trying to do the stream for longer than when I was testing. I was only doing it a few minutes at a time. Maybe there's some build up in the background. I talked about council funding, general artistic funding. So the reason, in case you aren't aware of this yet, that I was applying for council funding was my second season of the show. The first season, the whole thing was written by me. I wrote all 12 scripts, and it was self-financed by Foggy, which is my family business. So the two big changes I want to make for a potential season 2 are, first of all, more writers, because I think a series that deals this much with faith and the idea of godliness and deities and prayer and things shouldn't all come from one perspective. And second of all, we can't self-finance again, though it don't have to be from somewhere. The Arts Council have said, no, it's too blasphemous for us, and so we're turning to crowdfunding starting in the last week of August. I think this might be subject to change. You're getting to see behind the curtain here a little bit, assuming any of this is actually getting through to YouTube. I think the plan right now is that starting last week of August, we're going to do a small crowdfunder to fund the writing and development. So all that's going to have to pay for is episode fees for the writers that I'd like to involve, and casting for once they've got their episodes written. We'll decide who we're going to cast in them. A bit of story consultancy and show running, because one of the things that we'll have to do this time that I didn't, or that there's a part of the process after all the scripts are drafted to then look at them all and go, what order are we going to add these in? Which of them have knock-on effects on other scripts? And in terms of miracles getting granted and how they might reference in other episodes. And then also, what's the overall series arc? What's the series building to? We'll talk more about what series 1 built to as we do more of these listening parties. So there'll be script fees, there'll be a sort of story consultancy fee, which I think will be split between me and Ella Watts, who's on board as an episode writer and as a story consultant for the series, and then casting. And then so in 2027, we'll do a larger crowdfund for the actual production, which hopefully will have some momentum behind it at that point, because we'll have scripts, we'll have actors locked in, it'll be able to put the word out and make a case for the show then. So small manageable crowdfunder. I'm resisting saying Kickstarter is not confirmed. That's the platform we'll use. Small and manageable crowdfunder for the writing and development this year, starting end of August, and probably a bigger crowdfunder for next year. I'm going to keep it just to that fight, partly because I know YouTube or my laptop or some option between the two is creaking, and almost a breaking point. I will have a look this week at my setup and see if there's anything I can do to next week run a bit more smoothly. It may be that I need to take myself off, and then you don't see me, and all you see is some graphics and some voice, because it might be the issue. But we'll see. Next week's stream might look a little bit different. It might sound a little bit different, hopefully a little more stable. So thank you very much, everybody who's watched, either live or on the on-demand upload afterwards, whether you watch live or later. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the episode, assuming you could hear any of it. And I hope you'll be back here for the next stream as we keep moving through the